So I've shared with you before how we had a show previously called The Startup Show. It had a lot of early success, a lot of early attention, but it ultimately failed. And one of the reasons that that show failed was because I just ran out of time and ideas, to be completely honest, in order to help the show sustain momentum and continue growing. And I think this is a common problem for a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners who get caught in the weeds of their business and forget to market themselves, create content for themselves, continue that brand story over time. And I think if I knew at the time how to batch content the way that I do today and the way that I advise clients to do today, it would be a different story. I think that show would have continued. We would have seen a lot of success, etc. So I want to go over how I advise clients to batch their content now and actually how I do it. I'm doing it right now. If you're watching the YouTube, I'm wearing the same polo shirt as I was in yesterday's episode. There was a string of the first 4 episodes where the volume was all kind of low. That's because I made them all at the same time. So there's some negatives to it, but when you talk about making content efficiently, here's how I think about it. If you look at go back to first principles. So you go back to your pillar content, your core messaging, your show concept. And if you don't have that yet, I talked about that in the 5th snack episode. So go back to the 5th snack episode, listen to that first, and then come back here. But assuming you have that, right? You have your concept that is set, that's the foundation of what you're going to be talking about for your brand, then you need to begin a process in which you are regularly creating pillar content. That's what we call it. And these are the long form episodes. This could be a bunch of different things for your execution. For us, it's our long interview episodes that get released on Wednesdays, right? So we interview every Wednesday for Content is for Closers. We have a long form episode in which we are talking to some professional, some content creator, someone who has built a business and capitalized on content in a way that we think the audience will learn from. That's our long form episode. During that episode, there are topics that are discussed, there are ideas that are shared, etc., that we then pull on as threads for this show, for the snacks series, for our Friday emails that go out every Friday, and for our Twitter, our social accounts, and LinkedIn. So that interview episode serves as the pillar content for everything else that we did. So you got to have that first. Once you have your longer form pieces in order, you need to figure out ways to repurpose them. Now, I understand this is super common advice, repurpose. I just want to say one thing about this as you go about repurposing. It's not just taking the thing that you made for the long form, cutting it short and pushing it out on a different channel. That's what I see done so often when companies and brands are trying to repurpose long form content, but that's not really the idea. I mean, there might be an occasional time where you can take a long form piece of content, cut out 20 seconds of it and just publish it the way that it is. But really the better term, I think, is reframing it for a new distribution platform. Right? So if you have an hour-long episode of something, and then you're going to reframe that to push it out on TikTok, it should look entirely different. It's maybe the same content or core asset that you're using, but you should go through an editing process again, reframe it, make sure that the message is clear and concise for the platform that you're distributing it on, and then publish it. Okay, so I just wanted to make that note. If you see the best people who do redistribution in an effective way, Gary Vaynerchuk being probably the most prominent, he's not taking interviews and keynotes and cutting them into 15-second little bites and then just pushing them out. I mean, he is, but the way that happens is he takes a 15-second bit, he's putting it with different graphics and text, on his Instagram that explains the context of what is being said, or he's auto-tuning a part of what he just said into a little bit of a song, and then it's getting pushed out on TikTok. These are silly examples, but that is what you need to think about when it comes to reframing. So first of all, have your pillar content. Secondly, reframe or redistribute it effectively. And then the third is to make spinoffs. Okay, now this is a little bit of a different idea here, but when you think about your favorite movie, your favorite TV series, right? Like AMC made a hit show, Breaking Bad. You're probably familiar with it. And they had tons of seasons of Breaking Bad, tons of obviously clips of Breaking Bad that they shared in order to drive attention for it and everything like that. But when the story of Breaking Bad concluded, instead of going back to the well and just continuing to rehash that and rehash that and rehash that, which some shows do, they just, kind of continue to use that to point back to the old thing. One thing that AMC did was they made a spinoff. they made a new show called Better Call Saul. And Better Call Saul allowed the writers to explore and pull on threads, story elements that they couldn't fully investigate during the narrative of Breaking Bad. It's the same thing for your brand, right? That's actually what this show is. Snacks is a spinoff of Content is for Closers. This is where I find little tidbits, I find little threads that I don't get to fully explore during an episode because I'm not driving that show. I'm just hosting it. The guest is really the one bringing the knowledge to it. And I think it's valuable for you as the audience to have that idea more fully explored. So we spun this show out of Content is for Closers. You no doubt have some spin-off opportunities with whatever your core series, whatever your pillar content is for your brand. So that's how we patch content. In addition to pillar, repurpose, reframe, and spinoff, I would just say to automate as much as possible and then record in chunks. So for me, this means Wednesday and Thursday afternoons are dedicated to content. I don't take any meetings. I don't do any, any sales pitches, nothing like that. It's just for content. And that allows us to stay ahead of the game and distribute over time. So hopefully that's helpful. We'll see you tomorrow.